Aquí, Thread in Motion is working in the area of smart wearables. Now, this is somewhat of a new area, so I will try to break down this a little bit for you. So the company is based out of Istanbul in Turkey, and it's still a young company. It started in 2016, and it's a company focused on innovation and product development in IoT for the wearables technology. What does this mean? Well, this means that the technology that you normally use either on the computer, on your car, or on your cell phone, you now will be able to transport it with you without feeling anything that you are carrying. In this case, Thread in Motion started with the gloves systems. So you are now probably very aware that since we have started using barcode labels, they have been used throughout the industry. They started as a point of identification of an article, but nowadays they are used for processes, for activities, for linking up to information page. You get everything. So more and more you need to use barcodes and barcode scanners. So there is some context here of why are we here, why Thread in Motion is now one player in the market. From 2014, 2015, we got information that we're reaching the fourth industrial revolution, meaning the first one when we got mechanization, the second one for mass production, the third one when we got automated devices and automated manufacturing cells, and now the fourth industrial revolution means that we are able to communicate between devices and devices working with the systems. We have several types of systems, as you are probably aware. We have the ERP system, then we have the manufacturing system below, and then we have the machines working. Now, more and more, as soon as you get the processes and the workflow processes in a digitization flow, meaning within the fourth industrial revolution, you still have people working in the factories, in the warehouse, in the services area. And so now it's clearer that you have people still making mistakes because you want to do your processes faster. There's pressure to get things done faster. So why don't you try to help people work faster and better at the same time? And so this was the beginning of Thread in Motion. And Thread in Motion is now focusing on this type of wearables, meaning on gloves, but this technology can go everywhere. Let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. So, of course, to have this product and this type of product development, you need hardware, you need software, you need somewhat the design of the interface with the human, which in this case, it's a glove, but it's a special type of glove because the textile in itself is also important for Thread in Motion. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And of course, the design of the device will have improvements or will have also acceptability of the user more or less. So we are always very focused on the user and how we will use it and the type of feedback that it can provide us. This is very important for us. Oh, let me see. Okay, now it changed. So we are a young company, like I said, but you know, we have very big customers, and some of them are, you know, really old customers, really credible companies. This also means that we are a relevant player in the market. I will say that most of these customers are in the homeland of the company in Turkey, But nevertheless, we have been opening doors throughout the world, and we have received lots of awards, and we have accomplished many milestones. Now, we are now in the stage where we are scaling the business to a worldwide level. Okay. Just let me see why. Okay, the slides are just a little bit late when changing, so forgive me. So I was saying that we are now on the global mission to go around the globe, and we are already spreading for a couple of countries outside of Turkey, outside of Europe, and in other parts of the globe. And we have been blessed also with 4 different rounds of investment from different players, which is also a big sign of who we are. And we have, at this point, we have over 200 million scans performed. So now you can ask, if you are going global, you have to be aware that there are other players, very large players in the market, already in the market of the scanning barcode label devices. And we are aware of that, of course. Now, we have something that is quite different, and it's related to intellectual property of the company, but it's widely reflected in the product itself. And this has to do with the textile. Remember, I told you the textile was important for us. So within the textile, we have also our technology. And this is why the company is called Thread in Motion, actually, because it's really very relevant for the technology application. And so when you see the glove that you have on the right of the screen, where you have a full keyboard that is working together seamlessly in real time with your internal system, this means that the glove and the textile is very relevant for the future of the business. So I would like to go through some of the features, some of the advantages of the product. I'm pretty sure that this is very easy, and some of you have already understood all the benefits that we can have from using this type of technology. And of course, the first one is traceability. You now need to know in real time, where is my order, my online order? When does it arrive? Is it scheduled? Is it in transport? Where is it? Or within the warehouse, how much stock do I have? Am I looking at the registry of yesterday, or is this real-time registry? So everyone wants to know everything. And we do have to know this, as long as we want to keep having better performance and better customer relations. Either you're on B2B or on B2B2C, or even B2C, you really need to control all the aspects of your processes. So traceability is an important milestone. Now, we have traceability, which sometimes, you know, there's a trade-off. If you want traceability, you get to have more administrative effort, more energy. It's not like an added value immediate. But in this case, you get traceability, and you have hands-free working. So you get to do everything you normally do, but you are now using a glove like I'm using right now. Okay. So I get to use the keyboard. I get to do everything I normally do, but I still have a new tool in my hand, which, by the way, in terms of ergonomics, I don't need to grasp it, you know. If I have to use a scanning device the whole day because it's a part of my job, I don't have to keep pushing my hands to pressure it. It might just weigh 200 grams or 100 grams. It doesn't matter. During the full day, it's a lot of fatigue. So with this type of device, you get below 50 grams, and it's connected, fully connected with you. You will not forget about it anywhere. You will not let it fall on the floor. It's a perfect companion. Well, why do we call it a smart glove in this sense? Well, we call it a smart glove because it is connected with your system, and we have lots of ways, lots of mechanisms, lots of features within the interface that allow you to specify lots of different information. For example, if you want to be informed while you are using the glove, if you are scanning correctly or if you are scanning incorrectly. For example, you might be trying to scan the wrong barcode to put into the system. We can help you do that, and you have several types of information because we have feedback systems. What type of feedback systems? Well, we have vibration, which is haptic. We have the optic, which is the bars that have different lights within, and we have the sound. Some of them are already pretty common in the marketplace, but not all. And I'll try to explain. Imagine that you are running your system, your device, you are running it in a noisy environment. The noise feedback, the sound feedback might not make a difference on the daily usage. So you have light to inform you. If it's green, it's okay. If it's red, it's not okay. Well, what if I tell you that if I want to do my process, my activity faster, one way of doing it is while I'm scanning on one side, my eyes are already looking to the next task. So if I'm looking to the other side, how will I know if this was a okay or not okay scan? Then you get the haptic. So the glove, because it's in intimate contact with your skin, the system will vibrate and it will tell you if it's okay or not okay. So you see, there's lots of different small improvement points that all together combine in such a way that as soon as you start using this type of devices, you start immediately improving. You do have a training curve, but most of the features, you will use them immediately 100%. So we will have, or we'll talk about some, let's say, advanced features in with machine learning and artificial intelligence, but let's leave it for a little bit later on. Okay, let's change the slide. Let's see if the system is running. Yes. Okay. So what are you investing if you invest in thread in motion wearable technology? Well, for sure, since you are digitizing all of your activities using labels and using devices that connect directly to your cloud, you are bringing your activities through Industry 4.0, which is a good thing. Now, since you're doing that, and since we will provide you extra information about stock management, about resource planning, about routes optimization, this means that you can have different apps, different software feeding on this information to provide you more information, a different layer of information, probably information that you can use to make decisions. You see what this is getting at, right? And of course, if the people that are working in this area feel that they are now more productive, if they can output more, and if they have some kind of comfort, they don't have to use cumbersome and heavy devices, they will feel better. And this is better for everyone, of course. So for the moment, Thread in Motion has 3 different devices. They look similar in terms of form, in terms of geometry, in terms of usage. The form factor is the same. They are all gloves. All 3 gloves that you see here use a trigger to activate the scan in the area of the thumb. If you look at my hand, you see that I'm trying to scan. So this is a very natural movement for us because this is what we use. We use the thumb, you know, to put pressure on things. So this is very natural to us. It's not fatiguing. It's very ergonomic also. All 3 devices share this commonality. All 3 devices can be used right-handed or left-handed, and all 3 devices have different types of sizes for different types or sizes of hands, and in case you have to use the glove on top of another one, because in some processes you already use a glove by itself. Now, the most simple device looks like a wireless barcode scanner, the handheld type, meaning it can scan but doesn't have any more interfaces. Then you have a second one which already integrates a small display, and this is mainly for information to the user. And then you have a little shortcut button that you can use to validate operations, for example. And on the extreme of the portfolio, we have the G-Logi tool glove that integrates 1.5 OLED high contrast screen and a full keyboard. Now, why is this useful? You might ask. Well, this is useful because you now have the capability to inform the system of what you're doing, or in case it's needed to inform the system while you're doing. For example, you might at this point leave your PDA in the pocket and just use the glove to do everything. It's not a touch screen and it's not a 10-inch screen. No, it's not. But for 80 or 90% of your activities, this is what you need. So this will be an upgrade on your performance for sure. Let's go ahead. So while we want to compare, for example, the simplest of the systems that we have, of course, there's a weight difference. It's less than 1/3 of the weight, and you don't have to hold it. It's always connected to your hand, so it's very, very comfortable. And of course, during the day for intensive use, you feel much better at the end of the day while using the glove than using the regular scanner. And on top of that, you get the feedback that allows you to prevent mistakes while you're using it. And you get all the extra information that allows you to have a new layer of decision-making processes. So this is a lot to deal with. And this is why just by having 4 seconds less in your operation during 1 full shift, 3 shifts, many workers, you get a huge amount of savings plus traceability plus less mistakes. This is really, really relevant. So now that I informed you, I briefed you about the more generic and very, very easy to comprehend features and advantages of the system. Now let's see what happens when on top of this, we use machine learning and artificial intelligence. So some of our devices can include a high definition camera that you can use to generate images that are compared to patterns that you provide to a system. This means that now you have a new tool that is not working on the device, it's working on the cloud, but can tell you if what the camera is looking at, if it's okay or not okay. Why is this useful? Well, it's useful if you're in manufacturing, for example, and you have a tolerance for acceptance. So while you feed many pictures of this to the system, some of them okay, some of them not okay, now the system can tell you if what you're looking at, it's okay or not okay. The same goes if you're doing assembly, because the assembly of a device, a part, or whatever, must have a certain aspect, so you can teach the system what's a good looking and not a good looking assembly, which means that you can have quality control at the very end of the assembly line and not have an extra step for quality control. So you see where you have the savings, right? Now, not only that, but of course now you have traceability, because you now have information regarding that particular part number that you can go back and search when you need to, or use it as an argument in B2B, for example. So this is a real case that Thread in Motion did with Hyundai and had an extreme impact where they needed some extra control, and now they have it integrated within their own processes. Now we have other use cases with Mercedes-Benz also using the IWOS glove, so the one with the little display. And over here, there was a very interesting case where there is, on the assembly line, there's a process called the line side feeding of the parts that they have to assemble. So it's a small batch that they use to feed the workers that are doing the assembly. And from time to time, this batch is close to zero, so you have to ask for a new batch coming from the warehouse. Now, this is normally performed by the supervisor. The supervisor will check this information and will ask for extra batch to the warehouse. And you will have to inform the system that is now taking parts from the warehouse, taking them to the assembly line. Now, what would happen is that obviously the supervisor was trying to prioritize their activities, and while he was being called for different activities or different demands in the line, he would not immediately put the order into the system, which means that at the end of the day, sometimes he would forget to do it. So stock management was a problem because in the system you had a value of stock, but in real life you didn't have the same amount. Now, what Thread in Motion did was twofold to solve the question. First, while using the glove, now you have traceability of all the parts being used on the assembly line. Not only the batch number, but you have the complete set information about the parts. Now, while using this, because the glove is communicating directly with the system, they know if the batch that they are using in the assembly line is reaching, it's close to zero. So you just have an algorithm, a condition that says to the system that when the batch size reaches a certain value, it triggers an internal order automatically, and at the same time subtracts the value from the main stock. So this was completely solved, and this is still ongoing today with huge benefits for customer. This is the video that we'll see regarding that aspect that is very interesting. I will not do any voiceover because you have subtitles, and I believe that translators are doing also this show, okay?
Mercedes-Benz Türk olarak 50 yılı aşkın süredir Türkiye'de faaliyette bulunuyoruz. Hoşları Otobüs Üretim Fabrikası'nda şimdiye kadar 85 bini aşkın otobüs üretmiş bulunmaktayız. Yurt içi ve yurt dışı pazarlarına otobüs üretiyoruz. Buradan yola çıkarak 50. yılımızı kutladığımız 2017 yılında yenilikçi, sürdürülebilir ve yaratıcı fikirleri desteklemeye karar verdik. Topluma, çevreye fayda sağlayan, pozitif sosyal etkisi olan, hayatı kolaylaştıran ve teknolojiyle bağ olan çözümler üreten girişimlere katkıda bulunmak amacıyla 50. yılda 50 Startup projesini başlattık. Proje çerçevesinde gerçekleşen yarışmada 50 startup'a toplam 500.000 TL ödül verdik. Thread in Motion bu yarışmada büyük ödülü almaya hak kazanan 3 startup'tan biri.
Here's the IWOS.
Thread in Motion'ın bize ürettiği akıllı eldivenler sayesinde süreçlerimizi iyileştirdik, hızlandırdık ve ergonomimizi arttırdık.
Pedro, can you increase the volume, please?
I can. Just a moment. You mean the video volume?
Yeah. Yeah, your voice is perfect. The video.
Sorry.
Ambardan imalata, otobüse takılacak bütün malzemelerin akışıyla ilgileniyorum. Daha önceden bu işlemleri manuel olarak yapıyorduk fakat artık akıllı eldivenlerimiz sayesinde bunu sistemsel olarak işliyoruz.
Dijital eldivenler önce kendi kullanıcı adımız barkodunu girerek ilgili olan istasyona ihtiyaç yaratabilmek için o istasyonda bir barkodumuz vardır kendisine özgü. Burada başlayarak ihtiyaç olan malzemelere belirli miktarlarda taleplerini yapıyoruz. Sisteme kaydediyoruz. Sonra istasyonla ilgili işlemi kapatıyoruz. Bu iş yükünün sonucunda ambara bir iş yükü düşüyor. buradan çıkan etiketlerle belirli kutu ve miktarlar ebatında malzemeler istasyonlara sevk ediliyor.
Akıllı eldivenler sayesinde işimiz daha da kolaylaştı. Artık daha verimli çalışıyoruz.
Okay, this is perfect. You saw that they were using the glove on top of another glove, right? Because they are working on the shop floor. So this is also useful to see. Oh, sorry. This is what I want. Okay, so now let's go a little bit deep into technology. I'll try to speed this up since we are almost half an hour into the presentation. So now that you see that we are using this type of devices to communicate with the overall system, with your RP or WMS system in case of warehouses, for example, now I have to tell you that normally these devices come with the Bluetooth technology. This means that it's very easy to pair and to match with talking to other devices, but there are also some limitations. For example, lots of different devices, professional and personal ones, are already using Bluetooth. Then you have limitations around the distance, the capability of communication. With Bluetooth is not too good. Maybe you get 15, 20 meters, but if you have walls and if you have racks and other stuff, it's kind of difficult to use them. So you have to have more access points, which means a bigger investment. So Thread Motion, because we are very focused on the B2B and the industrial realm, also invested in a new technology that appeared within the IoT era, which is called LoRa, for long range. Now, LoRa uses a different type of frequency. It's not with the Bluetooth frequency, and it has a much bigger capability in terms of distance. It goes further away, up to 600 meters, for example, with a clear view. Of course, if you have walls, it will be slightly smaller, but it's still much, much better than with Bluetooth. So this means less money invested also in infrastructure. Here's a video from Thread Motion doing this demonstration. Enjoy.
It's 16 hours.
Just let me pause here to make a comment. So the charging station is also the antenna, okay? So this was a direct line of sight, but there were trees around it, so it's not perfect. So you get a very nice range, working range with this type of technology. Oops. Just want to change the slide. Okay. So what does this mean for people who buy the system? Then we have here to share with you, it's from an undisclosed customer, but the values are disclosed. And so you get to see what happens when you invest in this type of technology. So this customer is using 5 working days, 3 shifts, and the hourly wage is around €8. So he's using around 500 units scanning devices from Thread Motion, and he has an annual amount saved that you can see on the screen. Actually, I can tell you that he paid for the system, he paid for the investment during the first 3 months of usage. Now, imagine that you have an investment in your factory and you have a break-even point of 3 months. This is mind-blowing, I tell you, this is mind-blowing. Okay. Now, I will ask you to shift a little bit about this mindset around technology. Let's speak a little bit about the workers. Let's speak a little bit about the social aspect. Everybody's talking with Industry 4.0. Everybody's talking about automation, more seamless automation from start to end. But no one wants to speak about the problems that we have around that. Well, the problems are twofold. The first one is that you have to make large investments. The facilities have to be prepared for full automation. And of course, because it's complex, you have to have highly skilled personnel, either internally or you have to hire externally. Well, having highly skilled workers, it's not easy because they have to spend sometimes too much time to be an expert. And while they're doing this, they are deepening too much of their knowledge, but within a very short size of the knowledge. This means that it's not easy when the technology changes, it's not easy to put them with the new technology. So there's a certain probability of obsoletism. And for sure, people around you that were, very good at what they did. And 10 years after, they are just on that. They cannot do anything else. And this is the truth about very complex systems. So this is where threat emotion comes, very intelligently, because we already have the most skilled, the most flexible, with the most potential workers you have. It's the human worker. Now, of course, the human worker, it's not able to digitize himself, but we can manage to have some upgrades that can help do that. And this is the mission of threat in motion. It's to increase the capability of the user. So I have here a couple of informations that this is common sense, the CAPEX versus not CAPEX, and the fact that you have already the existing employees that you cannot upgrade to the new system because they were not educated to now work with robots, CAD systems, CAM systems, software programming. This is not easy. You have to breed them from the start, but you can and should be able to do these upgrades where you have immediate benefits and you can still work with the people that you have been working with. So the other side of the coin of the automation is the pressure on social welfare. So there's already a lot of talk and a lot of, let's say, worries that while we get more and more automated, less and less work is available for what we call the blue-collar worker, which is the regular shop floor warehouse worker. Why? Well, because his capabilities are less and less obvious, while more and more of the activities are being performed by automated systems. So in a sense, we are not upgrading the collar worker, we are downgrading the collar worker because we're taking responsibilities out of their execution. So what does this mean? Well, it means that most of them will probably have to go to social welfare. And this means that the state and the government has to have funds and has to be rich enough to take care of this. So this is also a problem in terms of globalization. Not only that, but in the countries where you have more automation, you have generated bigger gaps between the ones that are more wealthy and the ones that are less wealthy. Either you can, help them with social welfare or not. That it's not the case. The only thing that we're trying to explain is that we're generating a bigger gap. So we should really think about how to qualify the human, either by training or either by these external devices that today is a scanning device, tomorrow might be an exoskeleton, right? So this is one trend that I think we should think for the next 5 to 10 years, because this technology will be very relevant, and where big decisions on where to invest in people or invest in automation will be done. And this is, for the moment, this is what I had to show you. Thank you for your time. Muchas gracias.